In this video, I'm going to be going out for a ride on my 5 litre V Twin Flying Millyard. But before we go, I've got some pre-flight checks to do and a little bit of maintenance. In part 1, I showed you around the bike, pointing out some of its features. Then we talked about how I made some parts inside, like the crankshaft, the crankcases, and the carburetors. Then I went out for a ride on my Velocette V Twin to get 2 gallons of super unleaded petrol. So the next thing to do was to pour the petrol into the tank. The Flying Millyard has 2 caps. The rear one is petrol and the front one's oil. It takes about 1 gallon of oil and 3 gallons of petrol. I'm using my vintage petrol can, but I lost the original spout. This is a modern one. It sort of fits. It does the job, I suppose. I would rather have the original one if I could find it, but I don't know where it is. With the petrol in the tank, the next thing I need to do is check the spark plugs. The Flying Millyard has to be run very rich at low speeds, just like in an aeroplane, so the plugs get sooted up from around town driving. So I need to take them out and burn off all the carbon. Each cylinder has 2 spark plugs, one each side. That's because these are aircraft cylinders and they would normally run 2 separate ignition systems. The Pratt & Whitney aircraft cylinders have 18mm spark plugs, but I put in some brass adapters so I can use 14mm spark plugs because they're more readily available. And here you can see the brass adapters. Here's an original 18mm plug on the right and a modern 14mm plug on the left. In this view, you can see right through the engine, which is strange. Here's the 4 spark plugs all lined up on the tank. As you can see, they're proper sooty. I pick up the 4 spark plug and take them to my barbecue for a bit of cleaning. I use my MAP gas torch, put the plugs in my barbecue and burn off all the carbon. I found it's the best way to do it. You can see the carbon glowing red hot, and after a few minutes the plugs are all clean. After a while, when they're cooled down, I take them back to the bike and refit them. With the plugs back in, it's time to start the engine, so the first thing I have to do is turn on the oil so the oil flows from the tank down to the pumps. Then turn on the petrol. Set the mixture to rich, which raises the float height. Then set the ignition to full retard and pull out the starting lever. The starting lever has a little catch, the spring-loaded plunger, to prevent it from falling out when you're riding the bike. This has to be fully withdrawn to remove or replace the lever. I place the lever onto the one-way clutch on the end of the crankshaft. Then, using my right leg and put my hand over the carburettor, I bounce the engine over compression to suck some fuel through the carburettor into the cylinders. I do this several times until my hand is wet, then do the same for the rear. The cylinders are now primed with fuel, so I can turn on the ignition and then kick it over properly, and hopefully it'll start. I leave the engine idling for a short while until it's warmed up. Hello? Is that Stephen? It is. Great. It's Dad. I'm taking the Flying Millyard out to do some filming. Would you be able to come and ride my ST1100 with some GoPros so we can get some tracking shots? You can? Oh, that's great. I'll see you in about 10 minutes then. Okay, bye. Even Charlie Weaver's excited. I return with my helmet, leather jacket and gloves and start the FM. It goes first kick. I'm well chuffed. Well, I'm just back from my ride. That was totally amazing. Revving to about 900 RPM at 60, it's just unreal. It's totally different from my 500 LC that screams to 10,000. But anyway, that's the FM. It's a totally different bike. Hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe. And coming soon, I'll be riding my 8 litre Viper V10 and showing you how I made it.